So the Biden administration has been blaming working class Americans for COVID for almost a year now. This is a pandemic of the unvaccinated, which of course it demonstrably isn't. But the point is they're blaming a specific portion of our population for a global pandemic when it's become increasingly clear that no one in America caused this. The Chinese government caused it. It's at this point very likely that this virus came from a lab in Wuhan, China, that was conducting experiments on bat coronaviruses and had been for a long time, in part with money from the US government that was at least signed off on by Tony Fauci. That's kind of a big deal. Why are they blaming America's working class for something that they did? And more specifically, the Chinese did. So today, members of the British Parliament were told, and we're quoting, the lab origin is more likely than not. Oh, that's kind of a news story. The Harvard scientist who spoke to the members of Parliament added this, quote, a genetically engineered origin is reasonable. Now, anyone who's ever had corona knows immediately, well, this is weird. This doesn't feel like a normal virus. It feels chemical. Ask anyone who's had it. So Joe Biden was asked about this today. China's clearly responsible. 800,000 people have died on his watch as president. What's your reaction to that, Mr. Biden? Here it is.
Biden, on 800,000 coronavirus deaths. If you have a statement on your responsibility, why haven't you asked China to do more to be transparent on the origins?
Why haven't you asked China to be more transparent? Cue the fake teeth walks off. Stephen Mosher is the president of the Population Research Institute. He's the author of Bully of Asia. He knew right away what this was, and he told us on this show it likely came from a lab, and he, of course, was attacked as a conspiracy nut for saying that, so we thought it would be interesting to talk to him now. Mr. Mosher, thanks so much for coming on. So you are very close to becoming completely vindicated. Certainly the consensus is that you're right. It must feel kind of weird to be one of the very first people to call this correctly.
Well, it does feel like a vindication, but of course you had a great hand in helping that vindication as well, because you've been covering this story from the beginning. And I'll tell you what, 22 months ago we nailed it, Tucker, because we said this probably came from the lab. All roads led to the Wuhan Institute of Virology. And secondly, that it was genetically engineered as part of gain-of-function research. We know a lot more now. We know that we taught the Chinese scientists how to do the gain-of-function research. We funded it with U.S. tax dollars, and then they released it back on us to kill U.S. taxpayers. How about that? But, you know, the other shoe is going to drop soon. And the other shoe about this thing is that it is a bioweapon. It's what we call an unrestricted bioweapon, which means it's low lethality. It doesn't kill everyone it infects, but it does infect an awful lot of people deliberately. And it also has plausible deniability. That's what we're going to learn. That's what the scientific community, when it catches up with us in about a year or so, is going to acknowledge. They're also going to acknowledge that it was released during probably vaccine trials in Wuhan, where they had what they call the spear, which is the virus, and they wanted a shield, which is the vaccine, to protect their own people before they released the bioweapon on the world. And during those community trials, the virus escaped. That's also what we're probably going to learn. There's evidence coming out of China that that's true. So we may be, again, a year or two ahead of the curve, but this is where the evidence is leading. Why didn't we know this earlier? We didn't know this because of two misinformation campaigns, one run by China, with the help of their flunkies at the World Health Organization, and one run out of Dr. Fauci's shop, who didn't want anybody finger-pointing at him because of his funding of gain-of-function research in the Wuhan lab. He's got a budget, Tucker, of $6.1 billion to hand out each year. That's $6,100 million. Every virologist in the world may have gotten money. Yeah.
It's just beyond belief. And for them to blame Americans for this is really, it's too far, I would say.